The stories of serial killers seem to fascinate us, as we have a hard time understanding what would drive somebody to commit disturbing crimes. For the average person, it's just hard to grasp that somebody could be so sinister. Killers have given interviews and written letters before, but some say this is only what they want us to see and doesn't show us what's really in their mind. However, some killers leave behind private journals, which can help us better understand their ways of thinking. These journals were never planned to be released or read by others, so they are often more sinister than what you would imagine. So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. But before we get into that, I want to say a big thank you to the sponsors of this video, Amino. In the last video I talked about Amino and the fact that I have been using their new stories feature to post some exclusive horror content over there, and that's exactly what I've been doing. Amino is a simple to use app that is designed for your interests. So you can go over there and see similar creators making horror content, or you can watch stories about pretty much anything. As of now, I've got 3 stories over there that you can watch, including one that I just made. A big thank you to Amino for supporting the channel. Thank you to anybody who follows me over there, because doing so also supports the channel, and I hope to see you over there. But without further ado, here are 5 disturbing journals left behind by killers. Jack the Ripper is one of the most well-known serial killers of the 19th century. While the killer was never caught, there is some evidence that he might have left a journal detailing his crimes. In 1992, a journal surfaced that was claimed to be owned by a merchant named James Maybrick. In this journal, crimes of the murders are detailed, and the author of the journal claimed to kill 6 women in total. The journal also refers to the author's hatred towards women as the inspiration for his crimes. He closed the diary with a line that reads, "I give my name that all know of me, so history do tell what love can do to a gentleman born. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." However, there are some issues as to whether or not it's authentic. A man named Michael Barrett later confessed that he forged it, but then withdrew his confession. Nobody is sure why he said this, or if he really did forge it. Experts say that his forgery was unlikely due to his poor literacy. It was claimed that Michael Barrett got the journal from a friend who had passed away. Allegedly, his friend found it in the floorboards of a home once belonging to James Maybrick. Ink testing of the book also dates it back to the late 1800s, around the time the murders took place. While we may never know who the true murderer was, many feel it's hard to believe that a man would confess to murders in his journal and have such specific details. James Maybrick was killed by his wife in 1889 for an unknown reason. This is one of the more disturbing journal entries left by a convicted killer, as it shows no remorse and even jokes about the murder she committed. In 2009, 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamente killed her 9-year-old neighbor for no apparent reason. Many friends and family called her a normal 15-year-old girl and were shocked by this crime. But her diary showed a different and more sinister personality. When the FBI began to investigate the 9-year-old girl's disappearance, they seized the diary that Bustamente kept. The diary showed that Bustamente tried to cover up her journal entries by blotting ink on it, but investigators were still able to retrieve the information. One of the more disturbing entries was one written after she committed the murder. It stated, "It was amazing. As soon as you get over the 'oh my god, I can't do this' feeling, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm kinda nervous and shaky though right now. K, I gotta go to church now. LOL." The grammar and punctuation show the disturbing mind of this teenage girl. While it talks about the murder she committed, she uses typical teenage grammar and shows no remorse for her crimes. She is currently serving life with the possibility of parole.
And when the agent opens the teenage girl's bedroom door, it's a spine-chilling sight.
She found several things in that room to be disturbing.
The walls are covered with bizarre writings, some of them in pen and others in blood. In one corner of the room, there is a poem about cutting, which is a form of self-injury, usually involving a knife or razor blade. In the poem, one line reads, "I cut to see blood because I like it." Alyssa's best friend, Jennifer, knew about her high school friend's sadistic secret.
I actually consulted one of our friends and he talked to her about it. We noticed a lot of scars on her wrists. She talked about suicide a lot. I know that she had attempted it a couple of times.
Then on another wall, there's a crude sketch of a person. The head and arm appear to have slice and slash style markings. A closer look, and there's a name by the deranged depiction, Emma. That's right, Alyssa's kid sister.
Jason Massey was a killer from Texas who brutally killed and mutilated 2 teenagers in 1993. While he never wrote a journal entry about his crimes, his journal foreshadows the events and gives a look inside the mind of a psychopathic killer. His first journal was discovered by his mom when he was a teenager, which talked about his fantasies of murder and his desire to be a serial killer. She immediately put him in a psychiatric hospital. However, he was released and was frequently arrested for animal cruelty and stalking. By the time he reached 18 years old, he already had an extensive record. Classmates and teachers detailed his fascination with murder throughout his time in school. His second journal was found in a cooler filled with dead animal heads. It was titled Slayer's Book of Death and was labeled in volumes 1 to 4. In these books, he had lists of women he wanted to kill, plans for being a serial killer, and that he wanted everyone to remember who he was. These journals show a disturbing rise in violent thoughts, and they get more violent and gruesome as they go on. This journal also listed that he wanted to kill 200 people within 20 years. Forensic evidence quickly connected him to the crimes that he committed, and he was executed in 2001. Heinrich Himmler was one of the architects for the Holocaust, and was responsible for building concentration camps and assembling Nazi death squads. While historians aren't able to find out the exact number of people he murdered, he did directly order and participate in countless killings. Recently, a 1,000-page diary was uncovered in Russia that was believed to be directly written by Himmler. These journals are soon to be translated and published by an organization in Moscow, so there are no direct quotes as of yet, but the owners of the journal have revealed some disturbing information. In one entry, Himmler details calling his wife and children, making an appointment with his doctor, and then calling a concentration camp and ordering 10 people to be executed, as if it was a typical day. Another entry talks about flying to visit a concentration camp in Poland to see the gas chambers in action, but there were no new arrivals that day. So he waited for the SS guards to round up 400 Jewish women and children from a nearby camp to demonstrate this new method of mass extinction. There are also reports that detail his time personally participating in mass executions, and even laughing at the fact that he passed out when he got human brains on his shoe. Looking at his journals showed that he was a sick man that enjoyed the power he got from killing others. Himmler never faced punishment for his crimes. He committed suicide using a secret cyanide capsule before he could be interrogated. The killers we have talked about have definitely committed disturbing crimes, but the case of Kathleen Big was disturbing in another way. She had 4 victims, and each of them were her own babies. Her crime spanned 10 years, and many people thought she was just a loving but unfortunate woman. These crimes were committed in plain sight, and she not only never became a suspect, but she received sympathy throughout the events. It was her personal writings that led her to being convicted. Once her husband discovered her diaries, he reported her to the police as they detailed her killings. One of the most disturbing was written about her 4th child. It said, "She's a fairly good-natured baby. Thank goodness. It will save her from the fate of her siblings. I think she was warned." Many people have wondered why she did these crimes. Some psychologists claim it could have been because of postpartum psychosis, yet some even claim that she's innocent. Either way, the evidence against her is pretty solid. She is currently serving a prison sentence in Australia.
Her red hair now entirely grey, Kathleen Big ready to talk about her 4 children in court for the very first time, giving evidence 16 years after she was jailed for killing them.
You were directly responsible for their death by smothering them?
No.
Big quizzed by the state's top prosecutor, Chris Maxwell QC, about those diary entries. One in which she wrote, she left with a bit of help.
One of the closest places you've come in the diary is to admitting your guilt.
I say it's me admitting how badly responsible I felt. And I will always feel that way.
She painted a picture of a woman depressed and struggling when she wrote, "Wouldn't have handled another like Sarah. She saved her life by being different."
Sarah, I felt at the time that I didn't handle very well. I was constantly doubting my ability as a mother.
And that is it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I try to make a similar video like this every week, so if you want to subscribe for that, you can. You can follow me over on Facebook, Twitter, or today's sponsor, Amino, all of which are DeBerk321 and will be linked down below. But like I said, that's all for now. As always, until next time.